Hello everyone, myself Mazharul Islam, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Electronics, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. Today I am going to start a new topic and that is your Python loop. So today I am going to explain the following topics, that is why we need the loop, what is the importance of loop, why we need the loop in our programming language, and then the types of loop in Python, what are the different types of loop available in Python, and then we can check a flowchart how a loop run executes, and then we can see the different syntax of loop, how it is run or how it is we write in your program, and we also see the examples of each and every loop, and finally we'll see the execution of the loop. Each and every one I will see, we'll run the execution part of the program. So start with this, why we need a loop in our programming language. So generally we know that our programming language run in a sequence. So look at my screen. The flow of the program written in any programming language is sequential by default. What does it mean? That when we run a program, it has a sequential execution, means line by line. First it run the first line and the second line, third line, like that it will be executed. But sometimes we may need to alter the flow of the program. Means sometimes we want to run a particular set of uh, line for the many times until and unless the condition is true. So the execution of a specific code may need to be repeated several times. So instead of running in a sequential way, we need to run a specific code may need to repeat it several times. For this purpose, the programming languages provided various types of loops, which are capable of repeating some specific code several numbers of times. So whenever we need to run a specific part or a specific code for many times, we can use the loops, provided the condition should be the true. Until and unless the condition is not false, the set of code or the specific code may be run until and unless the loop condition is not false. So look at your flowchart here. uh, when the program is start, it will check the condition whether the condition is true or false. If the condition is false, definitely it will going outside of the loop. If the condition is true, again it will execute the loop body. Again it will check the condition. If the condition is false, it will go outside. If the condition is true, it will execute again the loop body. So this flowchart is a common flowchart for a loop. So when the condition is false, it will go outside, and until and unless it is not false, it will execute. So this is a common flowchart of a loop. Now, what are the different type of loop available in Python? So Python programming language provides the following types of loop to handle the looping requirements. So here we have actually three different kinds of loop in Python: while loop, for loop, and also the nested loop. So while loop, what is while loop actually? The while loop is to be used in a scenario where we don't know the number of iteration in advance. So we can use a loop that is called the while in in a case where we don't know how many times our iteration should be done. So we can use the while loop. The block of statement is executed in the while loop until the condition specified in the while loop is satisfied. So when the condition is satisfied, it will be executed. When the condition is not satisfied or the condition is false, it will going outside. So this while loop is called the pre-tested loop, because before execute the body of the loop, the condition will be checked. If the condition is true, then the loop body will execute. That's why it is called the pre-tested loop. While loop is called the pre-tested loop or the entry control loop. So this is our while loop. Next we have another loop that is called the for loop. The for loop is used in the case where we need to execute some part of the code until the given condition is satisfied. Again, this is another type of loop, that is for loop, and the most common loop. And the loop for loop is also called the pre-tested loop, because like while loop, the for loop also check the condition before it execute. If the condition is true, it will execute the part of the body, otherwise it will not execute. So the for loop is also called the pre-tested loop or the entry control loop. It is better to use the for loop if the number of iteration is known in advance. Like while loop, if you don't know the number of iteration, how many times it will run, then we can use the while loop. If you know the number of iteration known, or if you know the iteration in advance, then we can use the for loop. So these are the two important loop of Python, while loop and the for loop. We have another type, that is the nested loop. We can use one or more loop inside another loop, another while loop or for loop. So we can use two while loop together, one inside another, or two for loop together, one inside the another. It's called the nested loop. Like we have the nested if else, one if else within another if else, or the if else within another if or another else. Like also we have the nested loop, one loop within the another loop. So in Python we have the three basic kind of loop: while loop, for loop, and the nested for loop. Let us see the different loop again. So start with the Python loop, Python while loop. The already I said the Python while loop allows a part of the code to be executed until the given condition returns false. It is also known as the pre-tested loop. So here it is given one syntax. Look at my syntax: while, and then the expression, or you can say the condition. If the condition is true, the statement will be executed. Inside the while loop, we have the different statement that will be executed. And after the statement, we have the increment or decrement statement. Now look at the syntax. After while expression, there is a colon. So this is the important part of Python, that whenever a loop starts, after the condition, after the expression, we have to put a colon. This colon identifies that my indentation is going to start. In Python, the indentation is very important. Look at my syntax. In my syntax, when I start the while loop from the very left side, what the statement is inside the while loop. What does it mean? That these two statements and the increment and decrement statement is inside the while loop. This is called the indentation, that we have to provide a spaces between before the line whenever we start a loop, and that implies that if the colon is there, it implies that my indentation has to be followed in Python. So this is a common syntax of while loop: while, and then your expression or the condition, and then you have to put a column. And inside the while loop, these statements and the increment and decrement of this statement is the body of the loop. The statement means you can write or you can print the information. Other statement you can put, but at the end you have to provide the increment or decrement statement in while loop. So look at the example here. I have store one value, that is 1 in a variable I. Now look at my condition: while and I less than equal to 10. So this is my expression. After the expression, I put one column, means my indentation started. And after that, I'm printing the value, print the value of I, and then I'm incrementing the value of I. If I don't increment the value of I, it will be always 1, and that will be an infinite loop. Since I need to close the loop at some time, so I have to update the counter, and that is the value of I. So I will be incremented by 1, so I is 1, and then it will be 2, 3, 4, like that. When the value of I become 10, the condition become false, it will go outside, and till 10 it will print the value of 10. So this is a while loop in Python. So this is syntax, and most important is that after the loop we have to provide the column. This implies that my loop start from here. Now when I start again writing from the very beginning, it means that my loop ends here, and I'm going to start in the next part of the program. So a while loop is written like this in Python. Coming to the next, that is our Python for loop. So this is the most common loop. Almost all programming languages is the for loop. Look at the my screen. The for loop in Python is used to iterate the statements or a part of the program several times. Like while loop also, we can, if you want to iterate a statements for several times, we can use the for loop. It is frequently used to traverse the data structure like list, tuple, or dictionary. So the for loop is generally used for the list, tuple, or the dictionary. So this list tuple, dictionary, these are all of the containers. If you want to traverse the containers, this type of containers, then we can use the for loop. For loop is the easiest way to traverse a list, tuple, or the dictionary. Now look at the syntax. The syntax for loop for loop in Python is given below. For iterating variable in sequence, and then column the statements for iterating variable in sequence. So here for the we need to write the for, and then any variable which will be visit the sequence, and then we have to put a column and then statements whatever I want to print, whatever we want to display. Now look at the example in the right hand side. Example, loop through the iteration in the word welcome. Now here I have stored one variable. I have stored one value welcome in a variable as, and this is my string. So I want to visit the each and every character of the string. So I need to put a for loop here. So what is my for loop? For x in s. So what does it mean? That this x will visit the s, and it will visit each and every character of the s. So the x will refer the w, and then e, and then l, and c, o, and e. So each and every character will be visited by the for loop, and I am printing the value of x. So it will print w, and then e, and then l, c, o, m, e. So we can use a for loop like this to visit the each and every sequence or each and every character of the string. So this x is the iterating variable, and here in and s is my sequence. So I want to visit the each and every character of a string, then we can use like this for iterating variable in sequence. Now, what about when we want to visit a sequence or a number, a different number I want to visit or I want to print? Then in such case, we have to provide one function, and that is called the range function. Look at my screen below. The range function, the loop through a set of code a specific number of times. We can use the range function. Suppose I want to display number 1 to 10, or suppose 1 to 100, 1 to 50, then I have to put the range in the for loop. The range functions returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0 by default and incremented by 1 by default and ends in at a specific number. So this range function, whenever you put a range function, it will be by default starts from the 0, and it will incremented by 1 and till the ends of the specified number, whatever we specify. Look at my screen in the right hand side. The example using the range function. Here I have write for x in range 6. So what does it mean? That my x will start from the value 0 by default, and it will go till the x minus 1, till the n value is 6. So n minus 1, that is my 6, 6 minus 1, that is my 5. So it will go just before the one value of the n. So it will go till the n minus 1 value, that is my 5. So when I write like this, x in range 6, so it starts from the 0 and it will go till 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm printing the value x. So if you want to visit or traverse a sequence, then we can write a string like this. If you want to put a number range of in a range, then we can have to put the range function for x in range 6. So it will start from the 0, it will go till 5. So we are printing the value of x. So it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is our for loop. So this is the common syntax for any iterating variable in sequence. If it is a string, directly we can put, and if you want to put the numbers, then we have to put the range function. So here is the example Python for loop. The range function defaults to 0 as starting value. However, it is possible to specify the starting value by adding a parameter. Now in my previous case, look at the example. Here in the range function has only one parameter 6. So what does it mean? By default it starts from the 0 and it will go till the n minus 1. But what if you want to start from not from the specific default value 0, but if I want to start a different value, then we can put the second parameter in a range function. Now look at this example here, range 2 comma 6. So what does it mean? That my it will start from the 2, it will go till 5. So if you put only one parameter in a range function, by default it starts from the 0. But if you want to start from any other value, then you have to put the second parameter, the 2 comma 6 here. The first one is the start, the second one is the end value, which means that values from 0 to 6, but not including 6. So look at my example. For x in range 2 comma 6, so it starts from the 2 and it will go till 5. have the two parameters. So the first one is the start and second one is the end. Another parameter we can add in our range function. By default, it is implemented by 1. Suppose in this case, it will start from the 2, it will go 3, 4, and then 5. But if I want to implement the value not by the default, suppose I want to implement the value by 2 or 3, then we have to put the third parameter as the step. So look at my screen. The range function defaults to increment the sequence by 1. So it will by default it will increment it by 1. However, it is possible to specify the increment value by adding a third parameter, that is like this range 2 comma 30 comma 3. So in this case here my value start from 2 will go till 30 minus 1, that is 29, but it is here it is giving the step is 3. So my the first initial value is 2, the next value is not 3, it will be 2 plus 3, that will be your 5, and then 5 plus 3 it will be 8, 8 plus 3 11, like this. So I can put a third parameter and that is called the step. So here I have the complete sequence, complete syntax of the range function, range, start, and the step. So here you can see in this example, increment the sequence with 3 and the default is 1. So here for x in range 2, comma 30, comma 3, so it starts from the 2, it will go till 29, but my step is 3. So it will print 2 and then 5 and then 8, like this will be incremented by 3. So this is the range function. So we have to specify the range function whenever we want to traverse a set of numbers, and we have to put the range function, start and the step. Third kind of loop, we have the nested loop. Already I said that Python allows to nest any number of for loops inside a for loop, or it may be a while loop. The inner loop is executed n number of times for every iteration of the outer loop. So whenever we have two loops, the loop is called the first loop is called the outer loop, and the inside loop whatever we put that is called the inner loop. The syntax is given below. You see here for iterating value variable 1 in sequence, that is the outer loop. For iterating variable 2 in sequence, that is the inner loop. And then a block of statements, and we can put the other statements also. Now look at the example in the right hand side. For I in range, some range 1 to 10, means it will start from 1, it will go till 9. And then this is my outer loop. Inner loop for j in range I1, I, so it will start from 1 and it will go till I minus 1. And I'm printing the value j, and I'm putting a space after the j value, printing. I'm giving a space. I'm giving a new line here. So this kind of loop is called the nested loop. One loop within the another loop. So these are the loop available: while loop, for loop, and the nested loop in Python. Now I will show you the execution, how this loops execute. I'll show you that part. So look at my screen. First, I will show you how to write a while loop. So I storing one value I equals to 1, and then I write the while, and then my statement is suppose I less than equal to 10. Okay, and I have to put the column. So my expression is I less than equal to 10, and then column. When I press the enter, you see my cursor is coming inside the while loop. So what does mean that my indentation started. So I have to put the space before this line, whatever we statement we put inside the while loop. Suppose I'm writing like this, print I, and then I have to increment the value because I have to stop the loop at some position. So at some value, so I have to increment the value of I. So I equals to I plus 1. So this is my two statement. This print I and I equals to 1 are the two statements of the while loop. So now if I start writing from the beginning, if I write something from the start, what does it mean? That will be not the part of the while loop. Now this two is the part of the while loop. If the while loop condition is true, then this two will be executed. Otherwise, it will come to the very beginning of the here. If I write something from here, it will be start from this side. Now look at the output of the while loop. So you can see here. So it is printing 1, 2 till 10. Why? Because I start from the 1. So it will print the 1. I'll increment it by 1. I will be 2. Check the condition. 2 less than 10 is true. So it will be print 2 and till 10 is true. 10 less than 10 is true. When it's I become 11, I plus 1, 10 plus 1, 11. 11 less than 10 is condition is false. So it will going outside. So until then it will print the I2, I1 to 10. So this is my while loop. We can write a while loop like this. Next, I write my for loop. Suppose I write like this, as is a your string welcome, and then I like for x in s, and then I put a colon, and then I print the value of x. So in for loop, we no need to increment the value of the iterative variable, because by default it will be incremented by 1. So here you see, as is my string, and I write for x in s print x. Now I run this, and you can see my output. So you can see here it is printing the each and every character of the string W E L C O M E. So we can read the each and every character, or we can traverse the string like this. So we can use a for loop whenever we want to traverse the each and every character of a string. We can use the for loop. So this is one use. Another use is, suppose I want to put a range. Just now I have explained. Suppose I write here x in range, suppose 6. I said already x in range 6. So what does it will print? I said that by default it starts from the 0 and it will be your n minus 1. So it will be before, just before the n value, that is by 5. So it will run, it will print value from 0 to 5. You see here, starts from the 0 by default, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 5. So this is the range function, only the one parameter. If only one parameter means that is the n value, by default start from the 0. Suppose if I write like this 2 comma 6, right? So what does it mean? That it will go till 5, but it starts from the 2. We can have the second parameter in the range function. Here you can see it is start from the 2 and then 3, 4 and then 5. So it starts from the 2 and it will go till 5. Second parameter. Now I say we can put the third parameter. Suppose I write like this. Suppose 30 comma 3. So what does it mean? I have the three parameter of the range function: start value, n value, and the step. So start value is 2. It will go till 29, but step is 3. So my initial value is 2, and then it is added by 3, that is 5, and then 8, 11, like this it will print. So you can see my output. See here, 2, 5, 8, 11. So it will incremented by 3, and the my last value is my 29. So we can specify the three parameter: start, and the step, and I am printing the value of x. So this is my for loop. So if you want to visit a sequence, you can do using a for loop. Or if you want a number, you want to print a number, if you want to put numbers, then you have to specify the range, and it has three parameters: start, and the your step. So these are the while loop and the for loop. Now we can also have the nested for loop. Now suppose I want to write like this. Suppose for I in range, suppose 1 comma 10, and then colon, this is my outer loop. Now when I press enter, it is coming inside the for loop. I am writing the another for loop. Suppose for j in range, suppose 1 comma I. So start from 1, it will go till I, and then I'm printing the value of j, suppose. And we can specify here one thing, that is and equals to this. What does it mean? That after printing the j, it will put a space here. So My outer loop is I in range 1 to 10, and my inner loop is for j in range this. So this type of loop, one loop another within another loop, is called the nested for loop. Now you see when I run this program, you see it is printing the value 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 like this. So now to display it in a better way, so I can put here one line, that is I just want to put a new line here, then it will be a proper triangle. Now you see my output. So it is printing the one. First time it is printing one. Why? Because it is 1 to 1, and then 1 to 2, and then 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and then finally the 1 to 8 it is printing. So this is a nested loop, one for loop within the another for loop. So the my first for loop is the outer for loop. The inner this inside my for loop I put, that is called the inner for loop, outer and the inner for loop. So this type of looping is called the nested loop. So this is all about the Python loop. So we have the while loop, for loop, and the nested loop. Each and every one has a different syntax, and we can use the different for loop in our program. So this is all about the loop. So thank you for watching. Next video we will see the other important part of the Python. Thank you so much.